This microphone here is the T67 from Micparts.com, and in a bit we're going to test it out. We're going to use it on drums and bass and guitars and hear what it really sounds like. But you should know it is a microphone designed to be voiced very similar to a Neumann U67. Now, if you're familiar with the Neumann U67, that microphone is very expensive. They're vintage. You can buy reissued ones, but even those are quite expensive. And it's actually really hard to find clones of U67s. I know, I've looked, and there are some options out there, but it's a bit tricky. So in steps Matt McGlynn from Micparts, and he's developed an interesting take on the U67. What he's done here is voice the capsule and used the circuitry and the transformer output to try and get that U67 sound in a really clever way without needing a tube power supply. Now, some of you watching this video might be, that's heresy. If it doesn't have the tube power supply, it's not a U67. And look, that'd be a fair comment. However, that's not really what I'm too concerned with. What I'm concerned with is, does this mic sound good? Does it get that thing that a U67 does? And if you're not familiar with the reason why people covet the U67, it's because it has this way of saturating its sound sources, and it almost sounds compressed. I always find that the U67, whenever you use it, it just polishes off the sound immediately. So you record through it and it's almost like the signal is EQ'd the right way and compressed the right way, and you can still do further processing, of course, but it just gets you there really quickly in terms of sound quality. And I've literally just use this mic right now for speech, and already I'm hearing this nice tonality. And I'm a little bit sick, so I might be a bit nasal today, but the characteristics of the voice, I can hear some saturation, I can hear some subtle compression going on. It feels like there's a compressor on my voice, and there isn't. It's literally this mic going into my stock standard Allen and Heath preamps on my desk here. I'm not even going through fancy preamps. This is just the microphone through a very clean preamp. Anyway, if you're impressed with the sound, what we're gonna do, we're gonna jump on drums, we're gonna record some drums with this microphone, we're gonna do bass and guitars, and we'll pull a song together and we'll hear the characteristic sound of this microphone. Does it sound warm, and is it a microphone that might be a workhorse in your studio? Well, we don't know unless we try it out, so let's get into it. So the cool thing about the T67 is that it actually comes with a couple of interesting options inside the body. So I'll just take it apart and show you. It has a couple of switches up the top here. This one here is a pad, but this one over here is a omni or cardioid switch. So this microphone can actually be omni or cardioid. So first up, I'm going to start with it in omni mode and see what that sounds like.
A few moments later.
So I'm really liking the sound of omni in the overhead, so I'm going to run with that and build a song starting with this microphone, solely just this T67 as my one drum mic. Let's go for it.
Eventually.
Okay, so I just finished recording drums, which I used this T67 in Omni for, and then I used it in cardioid mode for all the other parts, so guitars and bass. And we'll just jump into Cubase, and you can see here I've got some drums, bass, and then some guitar layers. And I'm going to play it, and everything you're about to hear is just this one microphone for drums, bass, and guitars. And there is some processing going on to make this mix come together, and I'll take you through, but it's actually a lot less than probably what you think. And I'll take all the processing off and we can have a listen to how this microphone really sounds and have a bit of a chat about it, because it's a really interesting piece of equipment. So this is just everything completely raw, nothing going on. And it actually doesn't sound bad with all the processing off. I just find some of the parts a little bit bright. The cymbals are a little bit too bright. Some of the guitars are a little bit pokey in some spots, and things just need some, basic EQing really. But it actually sounds really decent just with the microphone straight into the recording. Like, it's a really good starting point. So let's just solo up the drums. The cymbals and stuff sound quite nice. Everything sounds quite flat. There's a lot of nice low end, and the mids aren't too annoying. And yeah, it's actually not a bad drum sound just for one microphone. Now, what I did for drums here, so it looks like I'm doing a lot of EQ. I'm doing some roll-offs, I'm getting rid of the mids, but that's because this is just one mic on a drum kit. So it's going to need a bit of massaging to get it how I want it to sound like a real drum kit. But you can hear, like, I'll turn off all the EQ. Quite bright, and on its own it doesn't sound bad, but now we're getting into a sound that's really usable. And what I'm noticing is the microphone itself takes EQ really well. Like, this roll off doesn't sound like it's too harsh or anything. I'm doing some steep cuts here in the mid-range just to clear some stuff up in the low mids. It just sounds good even with the sort of more aggressive EQ. Then I'm going to put some compression on. There we go. And that was it. That's all I did for the drum processing there. And then I just sent it to some reverb to make it sound a bit bigger. And there we have like a pretty usable drum sound. And now that the drums have been EQ'd, you can hear how pokey the guitars are. And all I did for those was cut some of the mids at the around 1K. So that's literally it. And then added some delay. If I bypass that EQ, you'll hear it become really pokey again. Like, not really pokey, but a bit pokey in those mids. And then on the bass guitar we have here, I'll solo that. All I did for the bass was add some compression, because compression's always good on bass. Off. And this bass guitar here is actually just a little combo amp. It's nothing like, I'm not using a big bass cab or anything, but you can hear how warm that low end is. It's really great. This microphone is fantastic at picking up the low end in a really flattering way. Put it back in the mix. And then the last thing I would do, just to get the mix going, all right, is just add some bus compression on the master bus, just to get things nice and funky. So I'll just show you that. So I just got some master bus compression there. So it's very minimal processing that I've got going on, and this microphone is just bringing everything together. It's really kind of shocking how good this sounds. Now, what I'm noticing is that it has a bit of a boost in the high frequencies, which is obviously excellent for vocal clarity. I think this as a vocal mic is a perfect starting point with its frequency response. I literally have no EQ, no compression on my vocal right now, and I'm comfortable with the sound on this microphone. It's excellent. To use it for one mic across all instruments, it just is very flexible, and I don't know, it just works. It's gonna definitely be a microphone I'm using a lot in the studio here. I'll just show you what I did on guitars. So I didn't even EQ these rhythm guitars at all. They sounded pretty all right as they were. And then the leads. Like, this sounds good. It's actually one of my favorite guitar sounds. I'm really liking it on guitars here. Anyway, that's the T67 from Micparts.com. Let me know in the comment sections down below. What are you hearing? What are you liking about this mic? Let me know in those comment sections down below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mitch from the DIYrecordingstudio.com. I'll catch you soon.